Hello and welcome to Bookish, Meet the Authors, part of the In the Limelight Network. I'm your host, Nyssa, and joining me today is entrepreneur, Emmy Award-winning documentary filmmaker, Rudy Poe, about his new book, Embrace Change, Your Go-To Guide to Your Desired Future. Hi, Rudy.
Hey, Nyssa, how are you?
Good, and you. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So why did you write this book?
So I wrote this book. It's been a work in progress for quite a long time, and it developed out of a pet peeve of mine. And that pet peeve is that people don't like to change. And it's human nature, right? No, not too many people do. And now I've written a book that I think everyone needs, but not too many people want. You know, it's kind of funny because it's like, I don't need to do that. But yes, I would argue against that. But yes, you actually do. I think it's important that we all learn to embrace change, especially in this day and age.
Yeah, with everything constantly changing, it's kind of a necessity, right? To adapt,
yep.
Grow. Aren't there also movies and books talking about the dangers of not changing? You see?
I don't know. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know that we live in this extraordinary time, and I couldn't have picked a better time, I don't think, to write a book called Embracing Change.
Yeah. And also the subhead includes your go-to guide to your desired future. What is your desired future, and how is the book a guide?
So I structured the book as, I wanted it to be able to be something that somebody could a process. Change is a process, right? So what I've done is I've articulated that process, and the book has got 6 different parts, and your desired future is the end goal, right? We all have this future that we want, we've envisioned. It's all the things that make us happy, et cetera, et cetera. But not many of us really know how to get there. So I wanted to lay it out as a process and there's like exercises in the book, et cetera, that get you from the beginning, which is actually identifying where it is that you want to go, and then taking you the process of getting there. And it talks about all the obstacles that are going to get in your way. And, many of those are actually inside of our own heads. So it goes through that process, and I think at the other end, you'll have a roadmap to get where you want to go.
Makes sense. I think one of my biggest things I say is I sometimes get in my own way, like something stopped me from doing. I wanted to be an actress when I was younger, and people ask me why didn't you? I go, because I got in my own way. That's why I got in my own way.
Yep, people do that. People do that quite often.
What do you think about change in the world today?
So change, I think, contrary to popular belief, the world is actually getting better. Change is happening faster and faster and faster. And some people think, wait, whoa, slow down. It's too much, too fast, right? But the bottom line is the world is full of possibilities and opportunities like never before, with everything from technology to just the opportunities that are out there for everybody of all ages are incredible. But you have to kind of take that mindset, right? It's a positive is greater than negative mindset if you're going to see it that way, because the news tries to brainwash us into thinking, oh, the world's, going to hell in a handbasket. But there are plenty of statistics that say things are getting better. Healthcare is getting better. Our costs of things are going down, even nutrition. There's just a ton of evidence that it's actually getting better.
You think about it, before being, like, for example, vegan or having dietary restrictions was very difficult, or if you traveled outside of your country, or when you went somewhere to a restaurant, you couldn't find your options to eat the food that you want. If you moved, or before, you couldn't talk to family members when they lived in different countries. It was a lot more difficult. Now,
yeah, right. I mean, just think about a few years ago. I mean, what did we all do before we had a cell phone? I mean, I always ask that question. Right. Some people would argue, well, the cell phone's a bad thing. Everybody goes walking around glued to it. Yes. But, when I was a kid, I had to go to the library to learn something. Right. Now I have all the world's knowledge right here in my hand. And we all take that for granted these days. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with that. It's like when you do something that takes a lot easier to do, and you realize, wow, before, to do a calculation or to do a process that you just put onto the computer, how much easier it is now than it was back then when you had to do everything by paper and writing. Now, it makes it a lot simpler. That's very true. Now, tell me about the last section in your book, the process of elimination.
So as I mentioned, it's a process. We start out the book with identifying where you want to go. We all have an infinite number of futures. It's not one future, it's an infinite number of futures, right? Anything can happen at this point. And we have different futures where they apply to futures of fun, futures of work, futures of relationships, futures of where we live, right? Those are all individual little things. And it takes some creativity to get from here to there. And so I believe that change either happens to you or because of you, right? One is a reactive approach to going through life, and one is a proactive approach to going through life. So the process of illumination is essentially the process of problem solving, right? So if we want to get to our future, it's about getting from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And the only thing in our way are the obstacles that it's going to take time, it's going to take resources, and all those things are challenges, problems, whatever you want to call them. And, if you ask a lot of people, what is creativity, or are you creative? A lot of people will say, no, I'm not creative, right? I'm not a creative person. But to me, creativity is really just problem solving. How do we look at something? How do we tackle what's right in front of us or down the road or whatever? And the process of illumination is a tried and true process of problem solving and of creativity. So it starts out basically with inspiration. You have if you want to go somewhere in your future, you have some kind of form of inspiration, right? I want to do this. This inspires me. I'm passionate about it, etc. So that's kind of your starting point, right? And then the process goes on through a step called ideation, where we come up with ideas like, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do? And a lot of people just they stick with the first idea, and that's kind of a danger place. You should throw out as many ideas as you possibly can and see what comes of them. Some will be good, some will be bad, some of them will stick together, some of them will be redundant. But have fun with that. Brainstorm where you're going, right? Whatever problem is, could be a small problem, could be, I don't know, what pair of shoes do I want to buy today? Or it could be, what kind of house do I want to buy in 10 years, right? It's that. So you come up with ideas of what you want to do, and and then you research it. You look into these ideas. You see what happens. I've been a documentary filmmaker my whole life, and research is the beginning of everything. I love researching. It's actually fun, and it doesn't cost any money. So to go through this process of illumination and setting a plan for your desired future, it doesn't really cost anything. It just takes time. And what's more fun than exploring your desires, right?
Yeah, that's actually really good. And like you said, it's also like it calls back to the whole thing of change, where things are getting better. Like you just mentioned, research is now a lot easier than it was before. So maybe the things that might have made it harder for you to achieve your desired future, part of the research can be much simpler now.
Yeah. I mean, for instance, like I'm poking around thinking, I just actually moved. So I went through this process, but I'm thinking about maybe next step down the road. How hard is it to, like, I just moved all the way across the country, right? And I had a goal of Florida. I grew up in California, and I just recently moved to Florida. And so I got on Google Maps and drove all around Florida, and Google searched some terms that I was interested in. And lo and behold, I found myself in a great place. I nailed it through a little bit of research, a couple nights of research, and 6 months later, here I am, and I'm happy. So
congratulations on the move.
Yeah. But to keep going with the process of illumination, so you research it, you figure out what's going on, and then you develop some kind of a plan from that, right? And there's that aha moment. We all talk about aha moments. It just hit me, right? Well, you have aha moments because you researched it, and then you have to let that stuff incubate. You have to let your ideas percolate, right? How often have you sat there at your desk and couldn't come up with a solution, but you walked away or slept on it, as they say, and the next morning the answer comes to you?
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So you get your idea, then you test it, and you put it out there in the world and see what happens. And then whatever happens, you then go back to the beginning and start again and iterate, right? You modify your prototype or your first solution. So that's the process of illumination. It's this problem solving process. And that's the whole last part of the book. Walks you through that.
That's, yeah, it's very interesting, and also, you know, illuminating, as I mentioned, to make it a pun. What do you hope people will take away from this interview and your book?
Well, I want people to realize there's a lot of themes in my book. And one of the themes is choice. Our futures are all based on the choices that we make, right? And there's really only two things we can control. And that's our actions and our attitude. The rest of it are things we can't control. So let's remember to focus on what you can control, you know, and having a positive attitude is obviously better than a negative attitude.
Which is not easy.
Yeah. And I have a whole section of my book called Obstacles, and it's all these things in our heads that get in the way. And it's kind of like a way to get to know yourself. So that's a couple of things. And curiosity is something I hope everybody will spark into their minds about this. It's like, be curious, question everything. We all take so many things for granted, and things don't have to be the way they are. You can influence that and make them better. And that goes back to your actions and your attitude.
Which is
something. What's that?
It's something a lot of people struggle with. The idea of like things that they can't control is letting go of what you can't control.
Right. And, you know, be a future forward positive thing, future forward thinker, right? The past is gone. There's no point in dwelling on it, right? All that matters is the future, and that is where we're all headed. So focus your energy on that rather than looking backwards. And put those things together, some curiosity, some forward thinking, positive attitude, and you will be amazed how far you can get.
Yeah, that's very true. And so where can people find you and your book?
So I have a website. It's rudypoe.com. And on my website is my book. And my book actually originated as an online course. So I wrote it as a course, and that's what I did over COVID. I spent 1.5 years making this course, and then I converted it into a book. So the book mirrors the course. So that's available there on my website. I also have a newsletter called the Change for Better, my every so often Change for Better letter. So it's not I don't inundate anybody with anything, but I try to give up things with the positive, you know, nuggets for the day to remind you of being a more future forward type of a person. I'm a big fan of quotes. I have a section called Voices on there, lots of quotes. All my favorite quotes, I've been gathering them for years, so you can find all those there. So that and everything you ever want to know about me is all there at rudypoe.com.
And do you also have social media that people can find you?
Yep, just look me up, Rudy Poe, at everything, you know, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything.
Well, that's good. And your book is also available everywhere as well?
I'm sorry?
Your book is also available like on Amazon and all those places.
Yep, the book is on Amazon, and there's links to it and stuff on my website, so you can get to Amazon through my site, or just go straight to Amazon and look up Embracing Change. There it'll be. And
speaking of your course, you were kind enough to offer a gift to our audience. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the book, you know, a lot of online courses are fairly, you know, expensive. I didn't want to. It's the similar information, right? And different people learn in different ways. So I made the course and the book the same price, and I'm offering a 50% discount on the course if you'd like to sign up for that for people who listen to this. Yeah, I mean, I really want to help people change. You know, it shouldn't be about people who have enough money to buy things. It should be about people who want to do this, and that's really what I'm trying to do.
Also, people who also get the most out of the course too. I would assume ones who want, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Rudy, so much for joining me. It was lovely having you on the show, and I wish you continued success. And
it's been great to be here.
And thank you, everyone, for joining me, and see you next time on Bookish Meet the Authors. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.